Okay, y'all, today we're talking about what I read in April. The first book I read was Hamnet. If you know me, you know I love this movie. When it came out, I saw it 3 times. Also, if you've seen the movie, you know, like, sobbing, tears, heartbroken. It's a hard movie to watch, but it's so beautifully done. Chloe Zhao is a genius. Immediately added it to my top 4 when I saw it the first time. Then a bunch of my friends were like, girl, you have to read the book. And I was honestly I was scared. It took me a long time to gain the courage because we know the movie is heartbreaking. It's so heavy. And so I was like, do I really want to spend like multiple days in this world thinking about Hamnet? And the answer was no, but I finally got around to reading it and it was so beautiful. I mean, this book is just written, it is a masterclass in prose. That's so annoying to say, but like, it really is a masterclass in prose. The book is kind of different from the movie. Like, Chloe definitely took some creative liberties and they worked really well. I think the book, 5-star book, the movie, 5-star movie. They are both perfect. I wouldn't change a thing about any of them. I think Maggie O'Farrell and Chloe Zhao are just both really, really great at storytelling and they've really honed their craft. Maggie knows how to write a book, Chloe knows how to make a movie. It's just an honor to inhale these forms of art because I think that they're just so good at what they do. There's a scene in this book where we see the little, I forget what kind of bug it is. I think it's like a flea or something, a tick. It's the bug that brings the bubonic plague to this family and to all of Europe. And it's like, you see it on the monkey, and then it goes on the ship, it kills a bunch of people on the ship, and then it finds its way into Judith's life. I really liked that scene for some reason, although I'm liking it less now, knowing all the things that are happening with the cruise ship and the hantavirus. The way she writes too is so vivid. She's got great imagery. It's just such a lushly written book, and I really, really enjoyed reading it. Even though it's so devastating, it's just such a well-written book that it's so easy to enjoy, even if the content is heartbreaking. The next book I read was Less. This book has been sitting on my shelf since like high school because I think I tried to read it and then I just couldn't get through it. I also see it at like every used bookstore and there's like 3 copies every time, so I feel like the world doesn't like this book that much, but I actually really enjoyed it. I think you just have to get through it. I literally sat down and finished this in one day. I also think that it ends a certain way, and if it didn't end that way, I wouldn't like the book. Basically, it's about this gay man who recently went through a breakup. He's like a writer, I think. I'm pretty sure he's like in his 40s. And he gets invited to his ex's wedding. So instead of going or not going, he decides to just travel around the world instead, and he goes literally everywhere except for the wedding. It's the kind of book that you have to have some life experience to really appreciate. I think when I tried to read it in high school, like, I just didn't fully understand the concept of heartbreak. I couldn't fully sympathize with Arthur Less, the main character, and so I think it was just some other story, but I feel like I have enough life to relate. I think that's the overall consensus of these books I read that I couldn't finish in high school, is just that the more life you have, the more books you can enjoy because you just understand them more. Okay, I had to read 2 books for class. So we first read A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid. It's an essay in book form. The author, Jamaica Kincaid, she was born in Antigua, lived there for about 16 years, I believe, and got a very British education because it was a colonized country. And then she moved to New York to be an au pair and lived with an American family. She writes about her hometown and all of the effects of post-colonialism, neocolonialism. This essay specifically is about tourism from the perspective of a native. Let me read you guys some quotes. If you go to Antigua as a tourist, this is what you will see. If you come by aeroplane, you will land at VC Bird International Airport. As your plane descends to land, you might say, what a beautiful island Antigua is, more beautiful than any of the other islands you have seen, and they were very beautiful, but they were much too green, much too lush with vegetation, which indicated to you, the tourist, that they got quite a bit of rainfall, and rain is the very thing that you just now do not want, for you are thinking of the hard and cold and dark and long days you spent working in North America, or worse, Europe. earning some money so that you could stay in this place, Antigua, where the sun always shines and where the climate is deliciously hot and dry for the 4 to 10 days you are going to be staying there. And since you are on your holiday, since you are a tourist, the thought of what it might be like for someone who had to live a day in, day out in a place that suffers constantly from drought and so has to watch carefully every drop of fresh water used, while at the same time surrounded by a sea and an ocean, the Caribbean Sea on one side, the Atlantic Ocean on the other, must never cross your mind. You disembark from your plane, you go through customs. Since you are a tourist, a North American or European, to be frank, white, and not an Antiguan black returning to Antigua from Europe or North America with cardboard boxes of much needed cheap clothes and food for relatives, you move through customs swiftly. You move through customs with ease. Your bags are not searched. The essay is so powerful, and I think she's a genius, and this is the first thing I've read from her, but I definitely want to read more. I also read Behind the Beautiful Forevers. I had to speed through this book because I had a deadline to reach. It's about this Mumbai slum, and it's a true story. It's nonfiction, but it's written in a very fictitious format, so it just reads very easily. It feels super accessible. The people in the novel feel like characters. They don't feel like real people, just because the author's understanding of them is so intimate, and she knows so many of the little details of their lives. It's really fascinating. One of the characters is this boy named Abdul, and his job is to collect and sell trash to basically keep his family alive. And him, among all these other people, live in this slum outside of the airport. Their houses are literally made of aluminum and cardboard, and it's literally in trash. Okay, the last 2 books I read from my queen Lily King. I read The English Teacher and The Pleasing Hour, which I talked about in my last video, so I don't want to repeat myself too much. These were the last 2 books I had to read to complete my full anthology of Lily King novels. I really liked The Pleasing Hour. It's basically about this girl named Rosie who goes to Paris to be a live-in nanny for this family. And she lives with the mom, the husband, and their 3 kids, and she forms a little relationship with all of the people. I just love the way that Lily King approached the various relationships and character dynamics with these people. And then The English Teacher, which I already talked about, but I did like this one. I just love the way she portrays relationships between people, and her dialogue is amazing. Her dialogue is just so good and so realistic. It always makes me feel like I'm just listening in on someone's conversation. I don't ever feel like I'm reading a book when I read her stuff. It just feels like I'm looking in a window, which is so hard to achieve, and so that's why I love her so much. Anyway, that's all I read in April. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am so happy that I'm finding a little community of readers and book people. Tell me what you're reading, or if you have any recommendations. Okay, thank you. Bye, love you.